Just so amazing how just something small like that, putting confidence in God and what God can do in your life, and maybe tell them a little bit about the story about your Palomino horse.
Yeah, I had that bay horse, and I only had one horse. The first year I rodeoed, I only had one horse the whole time. Didn't own another one. Actually, the first 2 years I rodeoed, I only had one horse, and that's very uncommon to be a header, to have just one horse. You don't even have a practice horse or nothing, just one horse to rope on. And it's very uncommon that they can go through 100 rodeos with my brother riding him too. So he was getting 2 runs everywhere we went, and for 2 years in a row. And from then on, I knew I needed another horse, so I prayed that I would get another horse, and another better horse, or horses. I didn't put a limit on how many I'd have, and everybody kept telling me, well, this is the greatest horse you'll ever have. You'll be lucky if you have one. I said, no, I'll have a better one. And they just kind of blow it off like, yeah, right, this is it. And a lot of people put your success on how good your horse is, and a lot of it is to do with your horse. But I didn't believe any of it, what they were saying. I know God's promises that He can provide, and He provided me with that one, and it was by sheer grace, because I didn't even know I was going to head at the time until I got that horse. And well, we prayed about it for about 3 years, and it hit August, and we were at the Spicer Grip Roping in Hereford, Texas, and I was riding my backup horse, which he's all right, but he's not good enough to rodeo on it full time. He's good enough to plug in here and there. Well, I was having to ride him full time because my bay horse, he hurt his foot, and so I was like, man, I know, God, I've been praying about this. I know you've never left me without, and I know you're not going to. So I just put it on myself, and this is the part where I'm going to talk about in James, that faith, you got to have faith and deeds. Faith without deeds is dead. And so that's when we had faith that God was going to provide, but it was also our job to go out there and do our part and look for the horse. And don't get me wrong, we'd tried probably 15 horses over the course of 3 years, and asked around about a bunch of other ones, and just never found nothing that we wanted. And so I ended up making a phone call to this one horse that I don't even know how he come up, but I was just like, man, what about this one? And we ended up going and trying him, and ended up buying this horse, and he's better in a lot of ways than my bay horse is. And someone tried him and didn't buy him before me, but I was able to get him and go to winning on him, and able to dominate on him just like I did my bay horse, and win as much or more, and didn't even miss a beat. There was just a month period of time where I had to ride my backup horse that wasn't good enough, but yet I was still able to go. That drove me to go find that other horse. Now I got 2 great ones that I can sit there and go around the rodeo deal. And it took 3 years though, and it was constant prayer. I mean, when I say that, I mean I had people, a lot of ministers praying with me. I'd send offerings off and pray over the offering, that was what I was praying for, and it took 3 years for that horse to come into my life. But it also took me doing something about it. I didn't just sit back there and sit on my butt and wait for it to just fall into my lap. I mean, the first one pretty much did. That's how it happened. But the second one, and this horse cost a lot of money, so it was a faith step I knew I liked the horse, but it was a faith step that God would provide me the money to get the horse. And anyway, we ended up buying him, and he has provided everything, and he's an awesome horse, and I'm just thankful that I got him. And I just want to encourage everybody that it not always happens on your time, but God's timing is perfect.
I think too, when you're dedicating, what I found in my life, when you're dedicating everything to the Lord, then you start realizing that God cares about your horses, He cares about your partners, He cares about everything that you have going on in your life, your children, your job. I'm getting more and more into my life where my favorite scripture I've wrote down forever. It took me forever to live by it probably, but Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, I trust in the Lord with all my heart, and lean not to my own understanding. In all my ways I will acknowledge Him, and He will direct my paths. That's easier said than done. It's easy to say that I trust Him with all my heart, and I won't lean unto my own understanding. and in all my ways I will acknowledge him, and then he will direct my paths. But it really takes a process to actually start living that way. But when you do, like practical application of that is like Travis with his yellow horse. I mean, it was obvious that time was coming that he needed that other horse to have, because Walt was having some trouble, lameness problems, and God just provided just like that. But Travis, like you said, faith without works is dead. He had to go out and make the calls. He had to come up with $50,000 to buy the horse, and he's just been a tremendous blessing, that horse. And several times in my life, my little dun horse I bought from Steve Northcott was pretty much done, crippled. Everybody thought I was crazy for buying him. I bought him for $17,000, and but I'd prayed over it and I asked for God to bless it when I knew that it was from him and I should do it, and he kept him sound for the next. He brought the right people into my life to help me maintain him and kept him sound for the next 7-8 years, and that little horse was just such a blessing. I won one of my world championships on him. Another horse, a sorrow horse that I call Hollywood. I prayed about needing another horse, and just the time when I needed that other horse, a friend of mine that we call him Hollywood, his name is Craig Branham. We played a lot of basketball together and everything, and he had an opportunity to sell him to different people, and I was able to get him bought, and he's been a blessing over the last 4 years, one of the top horses out there. So, I mean, I want to trust everything to the Lord. I mean, to me, you can't afford not to, because once you have committed everything that you're doing, and you know that the buckles and the saddles and all that isn't what it's all about, then you really can expect that God is going to be a part of it, and he's going to give you the power to get through everything you need to get through. So anyway, that's a part of what we're trying to do by all of us coming together. I feel like we have an awesome team of guys out here, probably the greatest Cowboys in the world, and in the world sense that it's all about winning to us, but it isn't all about winning to us. These guys really have a heart for trying to help bring more and more people to the Lord and to build God's kingdom. And every time Bobby gets on a bareback horse, it's a dedication to try to be the best that he can be, so he can use his influence to build the kingdom. And every time Travis and I are throwing a rope, that's what we're doing. And Jake and Clay and so many others out here, Patrick and Clay and Corey Coons. It really is our heart that God takes everything that we're doing and our influence, and we can dedicate it to him, so it'll impact the world in a good way, and not just to build you up and put you in a high spot where everybody can see how great of a roper you are, or bareback rider, or bull rider, but actually know that we were designed with a purpose and put on this earth to serve God and to be the best that we can possibly be, and to help other people come to know him, because he's so worthy to serve and to be a part of. And what he has, the promises and the blessings that he has ahead for us are so awesome. The place that he's prepared for us, heaven, is just, I can't even imagine how great it's going to be. And that's a life worth living, trying to help other people come to that.